the story of the little wooden train. Stable Cottage stood next to the old church, just within the shadows of the downs on the edge of town. It was the home of Adam, his mother, father and 2 sisters. Adam was a friendly and a well-mannered little boy. During one year when Guy Fawkes' Day was over and the days were getting shorter and the nights were crisp and cold, Adam and his parents began to plan for Christmas. The Christmas present lists had all been carefully prepared and Adam had written his letters to Santa Claus. He had thought very hard and finally had put down on the top of his list a little wooden train. He had seen a wooden train on a television programme. It was a beautifully made, brightly painted wooden train, and ever since then he had longed for such a toy. And so that's why he decided to put it at the very top of his Christmas list and ask Santa. A few days later, his mother had asked him what he especially wanted for Christmas. "Oh, Mummy, I really want a wooden train," Adam exclaimed. "A wooden train," she replied. "Well, we'll have to see what we can do and talk to Father Christmas." The following weekend, the family decided to go into town to choose a Christmas tree and then hunt for some holly. During the drive, Adam's father said, "Well, Adam, what do you want for Christmas this year, old chap?" Adam's immediate reply was, "Oh, Daddy, I really want a wooden train, a brightly painted, coloured wooden train." His father thought it was the most interesting idea. Between then and Christmas there was, as everyone knows, a lot of shopping to do, and with all the other preparation, there's never seemed enough time. Adam's parents spent hours and hours looking around all the toy shops very carefully, but there wasn't a single wooden train to be found. There were electric trains, computerised trains, clockwork trains, and plastic trains. But there were no wooden trains, the like of which would fire the imagination of every small boy. When Adam visited his aunt and uncle before Christmas, they too had asked, "What do you hope Santa Claus will bring you this Christmas, Adam?" Of course he replied, "Oh, I really hope he'll bring me a wooden train." Adam also told his sisters about the wooden train. In fact, he told everybody, really hoping that he would get his train. Even when he was asked to stir the mincemeat ready for the Christmas mince pies, he stirred 3 times, closed his eyes tightly, and wished ever so hard for a little wooden train. One December day, Adam and his mother walked down to the local shops to buy some food for supper. On the way, they passed old Mr. Blundell's house. Mr. Blundell was a retired craftsman, a kind, warm-hearted old fellow, and now he lived all alone. He had always said a cheery hello to Adam whenever he passed his house. Sometimes in the summer, Adam would help him in his garden and always enjoyed carrying his plants into the greenhouse for him. Adam had also worked hard sweeping up the leaves for Mr. Blundell in the autumn. When Adam and his mother got to the shops, Mr. Blundell was there. "What do you want for Christmas, Adam?" he asked. "Oh, Mr. Blundell, I really want a brightly painted wooden train." "A wooden train? My word," he replied, smiling. Mr. Blundell walked home with his shopping, thinking about Adam and the wooden train. He knew that he had enough pieces of timber, bits of metal and cloth, he had enough nails and screws, and enough pots of paint from when he was a carpenter many years ago, and certainly enough skill to make a little wooden train. So, filled with enthusiasm and the excitement of Christmas, Mr. Blundell spent every spare moment in his workshop, sawing and chiselling, planing and drilling, shaping and sanding, nailing and screwing, gluing and painting, building the most wonderful, brightly coloured, painted wooden train. On Christmas Eve, the carol singers were merrily singing outside in the street, under the warm glow of their lanterns as the snow gently fell. Inside, Adam and his family were all at home. The turkey had been prepared, and the last of the Christmas presents had been wrapped and stacked under the tree. Adam, unable to resist, was peeping and peering, poking and touching, and getting so excited. He was trying to work out which of the brightly wrapped parcels could be his wooden train. Mr. Blundell in the meantime had finished the little wooden train and made a box for it and had carefully wrapped it in colourful Christmas paper, but had not yet delivered the present. It had cost him no more than his time and love and skill to make the present, and just as Mr. Blundell was preparing to leave his house, he caught sight of some children on the television. They were outside a big toy shop and being asked what they hoped Father Christmas would bring them. Computer games, electric train sets with automatic tippers, roller boots, racing bicycles and American space age sets came their replies with wide-eyed excitement. Mr. Blundell suddenly came to his senses. Adam surely didn't really want a wooden train. That was something he just said. What a fool I've been, he thought to himself. Surely he wanted an electric train set, but Mr. Blundell had no money to buy such things. Mr. Blundell sank back into his old armchair and put the box on the floor beside him, feeling very sad indeed. Christmas morning arrived at last, and of course Adam awoke very early and was very excited. He looked towards the end of his bed, drew a quick breath and leapt out to explore the sack full of mysterious parcels that Santa Claus had delivered while he'd been asleep. He ran into his sister's room and found them also awake and checking their own sacks, full of fascinating, brightly coloured parcels. Adam and his sisters couldn't wait any longer and went to wake their mummy and daddy. It was just 6 o'clock in the morning. They all gathered up their sacks and went downstairs under the twinkling lights of the Christmas tree, and in front of a roaring log fire, Adam opened his presents. Some were big, some small, some rattled, and some were soft. He unpacked them one by one very carefully, thinking about the little wooden train. When he had unwrapped most of his presents, he realised that the rest were really too small to contain the wooden train that he'd so hoped for. But he knew how lucky he had been to get all the other lovely presents Santa Claus had brought him. As Adam began to play, he was really very pleased with all the new toys, but still a tiny bit disappointed that he hadn't got the little wooden train he had asked everybody for and wanted so badly. As the sun came up on Christmas morning, the world was full of that wonderful warm love. There was a layer of fresh, crisp snow on the ground. Mr. Blundell got up, all alone, and turned on the television. He always liked to hear the Christmas message and see the choirs singing Christmas carols. There was a lovely little film on featuring a little wooden train. Mr. Blundell immediately leapt to his feet, put on his hat and coat and big boots, picked up the box and went out into the snow. He went up the road and opened Adam's garden gate and strode up the path. Adam saw him coming and had a wonderful thought flashing through his mind. Mr. Blundell had been a carpenter and he knew he could have made a wooden train. Adam also saw he had a big box under his arm, large enough to hold a wooden train. The next few seconds seemed like hours, and then there was a rat-tat-tat on the door. Adam ran to the door and opened it. "Happy Christmas, Adam. I'm sorry it's not electric, but I made it myself." Adam opened the box inside and tore off the wrappings, lifted the lid, and there, to his absolute delight, was the most beautifully, brightly painted wooden train you ever did see.